In today's world, the pressures to conform are ubiquitous, shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and aspirations in profound ways. From education systems that standardize learning to mass media that synchronize fears, from advertising that molds desires to social media platforms that enforce uniformity through public scrutiny, modern society often rewards conformity at the expense of individuality. This pervasive cultural dynamic raises a critical question. Does excessive conformity contribute to psychological distress? Carl Jung, the eminent Swiss psychiatrist, believed it does. In his seminal work, Problems of Modern Psychotherapy, Jung articulated a striking insight. There are just as many people who become neurotic because they are merely normal, as there are people who are neurotic because they cannot become normal. This observation underscores a profound tension between societal expectations and personal authenticity, suggesting that both an inability to conform and an overzealous adherence to conformity can precipitate neurotic illness. In this video, we delve into Jung's framework to understand neurosis, its intricate relationship with conformity, the societal and familial factors that exacerbate it, and the divergent pathways to healing for those ensnared by its grip. By examining these dimensions, we aim to illuminate how conformity, while often socially rewarded, can undermine mental health, and how embracing individuality may serve as a powerful antidote to neurotic suffering. Neurosis, in Jung's conception, is far more than a clinical diagnosis. It is a profound disturbance of the human psyche, a condition that encapsulates the soul's struggle to find meaning and vitality. Characterized by persistent, deep-seated anxiety and an overarching fear of life, neurosis manifests through a constellation of symptoms, including depression, phobias, obsessive-compulsive tendencies, chronic worry, rumination, insomnia, irritability, anger, and pervasive guilt. Jung described neurosis as the agony of a human soul in all its vast complexity, the state of psychotherapy today, a poignant metaphor that captures its capacity to erode one's sense of purpose and potential. Unlike psychosis, which severs the individual from reality, neurosis leaves the sufferer acutely aware of their distress, yet trapped in a cycle of inner conflict with no clear path to resolution. Jung attributed neurosis to a disturbed or diminished process of adaptation, Collected Works Volume 18, and a morbid development of the whole of a personality, Collected Works Volume 10. At its core, neurosis reflects a failure to navigate life's demands, resulting in a stunted personality that struggles to grow or adapt. This failure is not merely a lack of willpower, but a complex interplay of psychological avoidance, denial, and defensive strategies that perpetuate the condition. The neurotic individual, in Jung's view, is caught in a state of arrested development, unable to meet the challenges that life presents, and thus condemned to a perpetual struggle with little reprieve. The consequences of neurosis are profound and multifaceted. It confines individuals to ever-shrinking comfort zones, limiting their ability to take risks or pursue aspirations. Relationships suffer as anxiety and irritability strain connections with others. Skill development stagnates as fear inhibits learning and growth. Physically, the chronic stress of anxiety and depression takes a toll, contributing to ailments such as cardiovascular issues, weakened immunity, and sleep disorders. Yet, neurosis is not an immutable fate. Jung believed it arises from specific, identifiable conditions that can be addressed, provided the individual is willing to confront both their external realities and their inner psychological landscape. Jung's analysis of neurosis hinges on three critical conditions that precipitate its onset, each representing a stage in the psychological process that leads to illness. 1. Encountering a significant life challenge. Neurosis often begins with a confrontation, a task, problem, or challenge in a vital domain of life, such as forming relationships, advancing in a career, or achieving personal growth. These challenges are not trivial. They demand adaptation, resilience, and often a redefinition of self. Whether it's the need to assert independence, navigate a career transition, or resolve a personal conflict, these moments test the individual's capacity to evolve. 2. Evasion of the challenge. Rather than confronting the challenge head-on, the individual opts for avoidance, driven by fear, laziness, self-doubt, or a lack of awareness. Jung observed, "If we follow the history of a neurosis with attention, we regularly find a critical moment when some problem emerged that was evaded." The Eros theory. This evasion is a pivotal turning point, marking the moment when the individual chooses retreat over engagement. Whether through procrastination, denial, or rationalization, this avoidance sets the stage for psychological distress as the unresolved challenge festers in the background. 3. Reliance on defense mechanisms. Evasion alone is insufficient to produce neurosis. It is the subsequent use of defense mechanisms to suppress awareness of the problem that solidifies the condition. Jung emphasized that the neurotic is ill because he is unconscious of his problems, the stages of life. These defense mechanisms, repression, burying uncomfortable thoughts, projection, attributing one's issues to others, displacement, redirecting emotions among the most common, are repression, projection, displacement, compulsive behavior, using busyness to avoid reflection, self-medication, numbing emotions through substances, and avoidance, steering clear of situations that trigger awareness of the problem. These strategies create what Jung described as a psychic vacuum, the development of personality, where repressed thoughts give way to anxiety. For instance, a person who represses dissatisfaction with their career may experience chronic anxiety, a substitute for the conscious suffering they refuse to face. This unconscious torment exacts a heavy toll, manifesting as heightened anxiety and a diminished capacity to engage with life. In the modern era, conformity is not merely a social norm, but a pervasive force that shapes every facet of existence. Educational systems prioritize standardized curricula, fostering uniform thinking over creativity. Mass media cultivates shared fears, from global crises to social faux pas, ensuring collective anxiety. Advertising industries manipulate desires, promoting a homogenized vision of success and happiness. Social media platforms amplify these pressures, enforcing conformity through algorithms that reward popular opinions and mechanisms that enable public shaming of nonconformists. This cultural landscape creates an environment where deviation from the norm is not only discouraged but actively penalized, amplifying the risk of neurotic illness. Jung distinguished between two types of neurotic individuals, each grappling with distinct forms of adaptation failure. The first group suffers from atrophied collective adaptation. Collected Works Volume 16, struggling to meet the basic demands of social life, forming friendships, establishing intimate relationships, securing employment, contributing to their community, or developing a functional persona, the social mask that facilitates interaction. Their neurosis arises from an inability to become normal in the sense of fulfilling these collective expectations. For these individuals, healing involves cultivating the skills and confidence needed to integrate into society, thereby overcoming their fear of the outer world. The second group, however, presents a contrasting dilemma. These individuals are too normal, having mastered the demands of social life to achieve success, a stable career, a loving family, a robust social network, and material wealth. Yet they remain neurotic. Jung noted, psychotherapists are familiar with the collectively adapted person who has everything and does everything that could reasonably be required as a guarantee of health, but yet is ill. Principles of practical psychotherapy. Their neurosis stems not from a failure to conform, but from an overzealous adherence to conformity, which stifles their inner, individualistic nature. By prioritizing external validation over personal authenticity, they neglect the inner realm of the psyche, where meaning, creativity, and individuality reside. This suppression of the self leads to a profound sense of emptiness, disconnection, and psychological distress, despite their outward achievements. Jung identified a range of societal and familial factors that contribute to the alarming prevalence of neurosis, many of which are amplified in the contemporary context. These influences shape individuals' psychological dispositions, often fostering the avoidance and denial that underpin neurotic illness. Familial influences. The family environment plays a pivotal role in shaping a child's approach to life's challenges. Neurotic parents, who model fear, avoidance, or excessive conformity, often transmit these tendencies to their children. Jung observed that the psychic disorders of children are more often than not causally connected with the psychology of the parents. Collected Works, Volume 18. Children absorb their parents' attitudes, learning to evade difficulties or suppress emotions from an early age. For example, a parent who avoids confrontation may inadvertently teach their child to repress anger, laying the groundwork for neurotic patterns that persist into adulthood. Another critical familial factor is the failure of young adults to achieve psychological separation from their parents. Jung warned that an excessively strong attachment to the parents is a severe handicap in his later adaptation to the world, child development, and education. While physical independence is a milestone of adulthood, psychological independence, developing an autonomous identity and decision-making capacity, is equally vital. Individuals who remain emotionally tethered to their parents, seeking constant approval or avoiding conflict, often retain a childlike mindset that ill-equips them for life's demands. This prolonged immaturity fosters a vulnerability to neurosis as individuals struggle to assert their agency and navigate challenges independently. Societal forces. Modern society exacerbates neurotic tendencies through a constellation of cultural and systemic factors. Addictive technologies. The proliferation of smartphones, social media, and gaming fosters passivity and distraction, encouraging individuals to escape real-world challenges rather than confront them. Hours spent scrolling or gaming displace opportunities for growth and problem-solving. Paternalistic governments, overprotective policies, and welfare systems, while well-intentioned, can undermine self-responsibility, leaving individuals dependent on external support and less resilient in the face of adversity. Suboptimal diets. Poor nutrition, characterized by processed foods and sugar-laden diets, impairs energy production, cognitive function, and emotional regulation, reducing the capacity to cope with stress. Psychotropic and recreational drugs. Over-reliance on antidepressants, anxiolytics, or recreational substances numbs emotional awareness, preventing individuals from addressing underlying issues and perpetuating a cycle of avoidance. Erosion of virtues. The devaluation of courage, self-reliance, and personal responsibility in modern moral frameworks diminishes the cultural emphasis on confronting challenges. Instead, comfort, safety, and conformity are prioritized, fostering a passive approach to life. These societal forces create a culture of avoidance, where individuals are conditioned to seek ease and external validation over growth and self-discovery. The result is a society increasingly burdened by neurotic illness, as people evade the tasks essential for psychological health and personal fulfillment. Jung's approach to curing neurosis is nuanced, recognizing that the path to healing depends on the nature of the evaded problem, whether it resides in the outer, collective world of social demands or the inner, individual world of the psyche. Each type of neurosis requires a tailored therapeutic strategy, addressing the specific deficits that perpetuate the illness. Healing through collective adaptation. For individuals whose neurosis stems from a failure to meet societal demands, healing involves becoming more normal, in the sense of mastering essential social functions. These individuals often stand partly or wholly outside life, the theory of psychoanalysis. neglecting duties related to social achievement or human connection. Their therapeutic journey focuses on reintegration into the collective, equipping them with the skills and confidence needed to navigate the outer world. Key interventions include building relationships. Therapy may involve social skills training, role-playing, or group therapy to help individuals form friendships or intimate partnerships. Gradual exposure to social settings can desensitize anxiety and build confidence. Securing employment. Vocational counseling, skills training, or mentorship programs can support individuals in achieving financial independence and contributing to their community. Developing a persona. Cultivating a social identity, such as professionalism, reliability, or community involvement, enables individuals to interact effectively within cultural norms. Jung emphasized the importance of fulfilling these neglected duties. He must get back to fulfilling these duties if he wants to become well again. The theory of psychoanalysis. Therapeutic approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, exposure therapy, or occupational therapy can facilitate this process, helping individuals overcome their fear of social engagement and build a functional life within society. Healing through individual differentiation. For the too normal neurotic, whose illness arises from excessive conformity, healing requires a radically different approach, one that prioritizes individuality over societal expectations. These individuals have mastered the outer world, achieving success by conventional metrics, yet suffer from a disconnection from their authentic selves. Their neurosis reflects a failure to heed the inner realm of the psyche, where personal meaning, creativity, and idiosyncratic traits reside. Jung described this process as a symbolic death, symbols of transformation, a letting go of familiar patterns, relationships, career choices, thought habits, and the pursuit of social validation to allow the emergence of the authentic self. This journey is inherently risky, as embracing individuality may invite ridicule, disappoint loved ones, or jeopardize social status. Yet, Jung cautioned, if you want to cure a neurosis, you have to risk something. Collected Works, Volume 11. The alternative, remaining trapped in neurotic suffering, offers no reward, only a life of anxiety, depression, and unfulfilled potential. Therapeutic strategies for these individuals include self-reflection. Introspection through journaling, meditation, or therapy helps uncover suppressed desires, values, and aspirations, fostering a deeper connection to the self. Creative expression. Engaging in art, writing, music, or other creative outlets provides a medium to explore and articulate one's unique perspective, countering the homogenizing effects of conformity. Confronting the unconscious. Jungian techniques like dream analysis, active imagination, or archetype exploration enable individuals to access the deeper layers of the psyche, where individuality and meaning reside. Letting go of conformity. Gradually relinquishing the need for external validation involves challenging ingrained habits, reevaluating relationships, and embracing unconventional paths that align with one's inner calling. Jung stressed that these individuals must follow the way of the individual life path he has recognized as his own. Collected Works, Volume 7. Persisting until an unmistakable reaction from the unconscious signals a misalignment. This path demands courage and perseverance, but offers the promise of psychological wholeness, authenticity, and liberation from neurotic suffering. Jung's perspective on neurosis and conformity carries profound implications for our cultural moment, particularly in light of the escalating mental health crisis. The prevalence of anxiety, depression, and related disorders may reflect a collective failure to honor individuality, as conformity is both incentivized and enforced. Educational systems that prioritize rote learning over creativity, media that amplify fear and uniformity, and social platforms that reward groupthink all contribute to a society where neurotic illness flourishes. The standardization of thought, the fear of deviance, and the erosion of personal agency create an environment where individuals are discouraged from facing life's challenges or embracing their unique identities. Yet Jung's insights also offer a beacon of hope. By recognizing the dual nature of neurosis, its roots in both insufficient and excessive conformity, we can develop targeted interventions that address individual needs. For some, healing lies in greater integration with society, mastering the skills needed to thrive in the collective. For others, it lies in breaking free from societal constraints, cultivating the courage to pursue an authentic, idiosyncratic path. This nuanced approach challenges the one-size-fits-all mentality of modern mental health care, which often prioritizes symptom management through medication or superficial coping strategies, over addressing the root causes of psychological distress. Moreover, Jung's emphasis on individuality as a prerequisite for psychological health invites a broader cultural reckoning. A society that elevates courage, self-reliance, and authenticity over conformity and comfort may foster greater resilience and fulfillment. Educational reforms could prioritize critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence, equipping individuals to navigate challenges with confidence. Media could amplify diverse voices, celebrating nonconformity rather than marginalizing it. Social platforms could incentivize originality, rewarding contributions that challenge the status quo. By mitigating the societal forces that perpetuate neurosis, we can create a culture where individuals are empowered to face life's demands and embrace their unique paths, reducing the burden of psychological suffering. The path to healing neurosis, whether through collective or individual adaptation, is fraught with challenges and risks. For those pursuing collective adaptation, the fear of failure, rejection, or judgment can be paralyzing, requiring sustained effort and support to overcome. Social anxiety, low self-esteem, or past traumas may resurface, demanding resilience and patience. Therapeutic interventions must be carefully paced to avoid overwhelming the individual, balancing challenge with encouragement. For those seeking individual differentiation, the risks are both social and psychological. Breaking from conformity may strain relationships, as friends or family resist changes that disrupt established dynamics. Professionally, pursuing an unconventional path may entail financial instability or loss of status. Psychologically, the symbolic death Jung described, letting go of familiar habits, identities, and validations, can evoke grief, uncertainty, and existential doubt. This leap into the unknown demands immense courage, as individuals must trust in the emergence of a new, authentic self. Yet, as Jung warned, remaining neurotic poses a far greater risk. A life dominated by anxiety, depression, self-loathing, and unfulfilled potential offers no redemption, only a slow erosion of vitality and purpose. The path to healing, while daunting, holds the promise of liberation, a life imbued with meaning, resilience, and authenticity. For those afflicted by the neurosis of excessive conformity, Jung's insight is particularly poignant. Among neurotics, there are not a few who do not require any reminders of their social duties and obligations, but are born and destined rather to be bearers of new cultural ideals. Some crucial points in psychoanalysis. Embracing this destiny requires risk, but offers unparalleled rewards. Carl Jung's exploration of neurosis and conformity provides a timeless and incisive lens through which to understand the modern mental health crisis. In a world that often equates normality with health, Jung challenges us to recognize that excessive conformity can be as pathological as social failure. By evading life's challenges, whether in the outer world of societal demands or the inner world of the psyche, individuals fall prey to neurotic illness, sacrificing their potential to fear, avoidance, and denial. The resulting agony, as Jung described, is not merely a personal tragedy but a cultural one, reflecting a society that stifles individuality and rewards homogeneity. Jung's framework offers a roadmap for healing, tailored to the nature of the evaded problem. For those struggling with collective adaptation, the solution lies in embracing societal norms, mastering the skills needed to thrive in community. For those trapped by excessive conformity, healing requires a courageous rejection of external validation, a symbolic death that allows the authentic self to emerge. Both paths demand self-awareness, resilience, and a willingness to risk change, but they promise a life free from the torment of neurosis, a life of vitality, purpose, and psychological wholeness. As we navigate an increasingly conformist culture, Jung's insights compel us to reconsider our values and priorities. A society that honors both social responsibility and individual authenticity can mitigate the forces that perpetuate neurosis, fostering resilience and fulfillment. Educational systems could nurture creativity and critical thinking. Media could celebrate diversity and nonconformity, and social platforms could reward originality over groupthink. By empowering individuals to face life's challenges and embrace their unique paths, we can reduce the burden of psychological suffering and cultivate a world where each person is free to live fully, fearlessly, and authentically. Jung's vision extends beyond individual healing to a broader cultural transformation. Those who break free from the neurosis of conformity, as he noted, are often destined to be bearers of new cultural ideals. By embracing this calling, we not only heal ourselves, but also pave the way for a more vibrant, resilient, and inclusive society. One where the agony of the neurotic soul gives way to the triumph of the human spirit.